Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Rebecca, and today I am going to react to my appearance on the Saucecast. I was on the show this past week, and on the panel was an OnlyFans model. She is a mom, a wife, all of the above, and my good friend Ruslan KD. And here's the thing about doing these shows. There are a lot of things that are happening in the background, and we had a specific time limit on each subject. And so it was frustrating because I had so many questions and I wanted to ask her about all of these things and expand upon them, but I didn't have the opportunity to ask. And also, Adam is the host of the show, so I didn't want to take it so far a different way. And I wanted to be very respectful of the show and the dynamics of the show. I have so many questions for this woman. And if you guys want, I will bring her onto my channel to actually have an expanded conversation because I think that we could go 2 hours. I think the other aspect about this is that people in the comments were saying, oh, she's essentially defending this woman or whatnot. No, I was very clear on what I believe and where I stand. And here's the thing, guys, I am not a combative person. Maybe previously in my life I was, but right now I am not a combative person, especially since I've had a baby, right? I do have my opinions and they're very strong. And I think I made that very clear that I don't agree with what she does. And I would never do that thing, right? I would never post those things on the internet. But at the same time, I wanted to have a discussion. I didn't want it to be a yelling or screaming match. I talk about feminine frame all the time, right? What does femininity actually mean? How can I not practice what I preach if I'm yelling or arguing with this woman about her life? Even at the end of the show, she said, it actually changed my perspective a little bit, which is exactly what we wanted the outcome to be. So, without further ado, I'm going to play a clip of the show. And I want you guys to listen to what she's saying. And I'm going to respond how I would have responded in person if I had the time to push back and to actually expand upon these ideas. I think we could have gone for 4 hours if they let us and we didn't have time constraints. But let's get into this.
Actually, I wouldn't have a problem. I don't think it's any different than DMing a girl on Instagram, to be really honest. Instagram's got some pretty racy stuff now. What would concern me is them becoming into a situation where they were unhealthily thought like there was something truly between this girl or were, being led or manipulated anyway. Those would be my concerns. But that's any concern that I would have with them on anybody on social media.
Right. I just want to say that the stats say that pornography starts at 11 years old, especially for boys. And so even though you do homeschool them, and I'm not trying to give you like advice on how to raise your kids, but the exposure is still there, even though, it's not, they're not getting exposed to it at school or through friends. I know from like doing the research is that there are private messages that get sent out, emails, marketing to these kids through social media and through these things, and so, or these different platforms, even text, right? And so, yes, you can shield them to a certain extent, but eventually they're going to find out. And to that point too, I would say your two older boys, they already had experienced you as a mom, right? Yeah. They've seen you as mom, nurse, all that stuff. And so as the 12-year-old grows up, he's now living in a completely new lifestyle.
Well, not really. Our life.
I really wanted to push back there and say, it is true. Once you have money and once you have these opportunities, like these boys, the older boys, probably grew up in a normal household where mom and dad went to work, average 9 to 5, right? She was a nurse. I'm not sure what her husband did prior to being on OnlyFans with her. And that's actually what I wanted to ask too, but we didn't have time to get there. Did he also lose his job coming onto the OnlyFans platform. Tell me how this conversation went down. Like, these are the questions that I wanted to really get into, but honestly, there was not enough time. We would have been on her the entire show if Ruslan and I were able to ask the questions that we wanted to ask. I had like a running list going in my head. Essentially, what I was trying to say here was like, your children, the older boys, grew up with you as a normal mom, not this social media influencer, not this OnlyFans creator. And especially with both parents, when you have money, right? The 12-year-old got a little bit of maybe like normal life, mom and dad buys them gifts here and there, but standard normal American life, to now having millions of dollars and access to whatever this kid wants. And so that does change a child. And then on top of that, you have mom and dad who tell their kids to step outside and go do other activities while they do their own activities. And so I do think it's a little weird. I do think that it doesn't make sense. This kid is going to grow up in a different family dynamic, and it's showing here, right? And so she expands on this and says,
I'm still mom, still making breakfast. There's nothing different except mom is not gone 16 hours. She just might go to her room or, in the studio or wherever I may go. There's no difference in how I mother or raise my kids. They've, it's been
do you think that you're a better mother now? Is that what you're saying?
I would argue I am.
Because you're more active in their lives?
Oh, I'm there for everything. I'm there every day for him. I have as much time as I'd like. I can take 2 weeks off if I want and just spend it with my kids. I think I'm clear-headed. I'm not, like I said, working 16-hour nights. That was the reality.
No, because obviously everyone's going to be like, she's a mom and judge her and oh my God. But like, you're basically saying, hey, look, I get it. I've had difficult conversations with my kids. It's not exactly the most normal relationship, but look, I'm making a lot more money. I'm there for my kids. There's some upside to what I'm doing. It's not all shame and bad. Like, I've processed this again with my husband. So it's not like I'm defending you or defending them, or I'm just saying that it's one thing I've learned in any position, whether it's, guns or abortion or church, school, whatever, there's always a gray area. It's
all right. So she says that she can essentially take as much time. If she wanted to take 2 weeks off, that she could take 2 weeks off and just be with the kids and whatnot, and that she has way more time now than she did when she was working 16-hour shifts. In the same stream, she also says that she works 24/7, that she's always on the grind, that she's always hustling, that she's always promoting, that she's getting back to her fans and things of that nature. So is it that you spend all your time with your kids and that you can take 2 weeks off? Or is it that you are working 24/7 and hustle and grinding? Because, for example, I took off 3 months off YouTube here and my numbers dipped. My analytics went crazy, right? It said, oh, you were doing all of these crazy numbers. You were outputting so much. You were growing your channel, and then you took time off. That's what happens when you are a creator. If you're not constantly moving the needle forward with your content, if you're not leveling up your content, if you're not engaged, locked in 24/7, you are going to drop the ball. You are going to not make as much money. You are going to have a dip in your income. And something that I also wanted to ask her is, if your husband does this with you, right? If your husband works with you and this is your only source of income, then how is it that if your money dips, right? If the total income keeps going down and we're looking straight into a recession, right? How is it that you're going to maintain the lifestyle that you established for yourself and for your family? These are all the questions that were in my head that I'm like, I want to just really have these conversations, right? But with the time allotted, you can't say all these things. You can't articulate all these things in a very short period of time. I would love to come back on the show and with her to actually expand upon these questions that I have because I think it's important to touch on them, right? How is your family dynamics changing? Because I don't necessarily buy that she's spending all this quality time with her family if she's working or if her and her husband are working 24/7 on building their platform. And then on top of that, she says, we, right? Like we are the people together. We're doing this together. But then why is she only on the platform? Why is she the only one that's vocal about it? And why did she lose her job? Right? Did he lose his job? I want to know these things. I want to know. And I'm not here to bash her either. Like, I spoke to her before and after the stream. She's a lovely lady. If I didn't know anything about her, if I didn't know that she sold, if they didn't sell sex tapes on the internet, I would just think that she's a normal mom. She's very charismatic. You can see that she really loves her family and loves her kids and loves her husband. But I have so many questions for Allie. Allie, if you're watching this, come. I will gladly host you and have a conversation with you, but we'll continue.
Not everything is black and white. So
Correct.
do you think that you're becoming, my initial question is, would you say that you're now a better mother because of this?
I would say that I'm a better mother. I want to rephrase that. I would say I'm the mother that I always wanted to be. And that might sound ironic, but the mother that I always envisioned myself being prior to going to nursing school and becoming a nurse was hands-on, there every day, picking up from school, dropping off, dinner, lunches, hockey. And that's just things that was not able to do when you're a nurse like that. And so I'm able to be the mother that I always wanted to be now. And that means a lot to me. And you can't put a price tag on that. I mean, to be honest, for me, that's the most value. One thing I've learned since I've come into wealth is that freedom and your time is worth far more than what your bank account states. And that to me is the biggest part of this. It doesn't matter what that number says. The fact that I don't have to get up and leave my kids if I don't want to, it just speaks volumes.
Time is the most precious commodity.
Yeah.
All right.
See, if that was really the case, you wouldn't be beholden to your fans, your OnlyFans, right? You have to reach the level of wealth that she's attained on this platform. Like she mentioned, you are your only marketer. You can't put these things on other platforms like Instagram or Facebook or whatever. You have to promote. Self-promotion is the key to OnlyFans, as she speaks about in the stream, right? And so if that's the case, are you at hockey practice or are you, in your living room focused on your family, or are you focused on getting these direct messages to your OnlyFans? I don't understand how you can have that much time. I know NICU nurses and ICU nurses that work a lot. And yes, you are actually physically away from your children, but you can be mentally and emotionally away from your family while sitting in the living room with your family. You get what I mean? And so I don't know how this works for her. And I want to know. I'm so curious. Like, tell me how you have time, because I don't think that you're going to hockey practice and making dinner and all these things and neglecting your OnlyFans, because you are beholden to them. They're the ones that give you the paycheck. You and your husband, right? You are talking about diversifying your platforms. It doesn't sound like you're diversifying your platforms if you and your husband are doing this together and you're getting one income from OnlyFans. I don't know. Questions that I still have about this. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it here for this video. I really want to get Allie on the stream, maybe her and her husband, to have a dynamic conversation about this. There were so many things that were running through my head. I really want to expand on these questions that I have and maybe get them answered for you guys as well. But that is my video for today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.